Friends and patriots, welcome and good evening to you. My name is Ajuri Ngelale, and I come to you from the nation's capital. This is Eagle Eye. On this edition of the program, we take you behind the scenes of gas resource development as we embark upon an on-site deep dive into the construction of the new $2.8 billion Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline undertaken by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration to expedite Nigeria's industrialization and establish new international export markets for Nigerian gas. This and other relevant matters are on the table as we conclude our detailed conversation with the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Marlin Silva, on this edition of Eagle Eye. Without further ado, let's head to Abaji, a border community between Kogi, Niger, Nasarawa states and the Federal Capital Territory. At a combined weight of 240,768 tons, the new $2.8 billion Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline is made up of 51,200 of these steel pipes. Transported in through the newly completed Warri-Itakpe Railway, each pipe has a diameter of 40 inches and a radius of 20. In construction since June 2020, what will be Nigeria's largest pipeline is being joined together across 614 kilometers from the Oben gas pipeline in Edo through to Ajaokuta, up to Abuja, then to Kaduna, up to Kano. It will be fully completed by March 2023. While first intended to ensure domestic gas supply for pan-Nigerian industrialization, it will serve as the foundation piece of the 1,300-kilometer Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, multiplying national revenues by creating new export markets for Nigerian gas up through the Sahara into Algeria en route to Western Europe. This is in addition to the West African gas pipeline, which passes through several West African nations and will, in a few years, pass up to Western Europe through Morocco, establishing several new export markets for Nigerian gas along the corridor, according to President Muhammadu Buhari's vision. The pipeline is now being coupled. In these rapidly moving micro-tents, the final joining is achieved at each end point. Temporary mini-hills are created to support the pipeline coupling process. At a time when Europe urgently seeks new energy sources following geopolitical tensions with Russia, the GMD of NNPC, Mele Kyari, offers more insight. We're here at the Ajeokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline, much-awaited project. Can you just dimension this project against the larger move of President Muhammadu Buhari to pivot the nation really from oil to gas in many ways?
And most importantly, this is a key project for the country because it will deliver 2 billion scope of gas into the pipeline. It will debottleneck the east and the west so that as a result of this, you can have up to 8 billion scope of gas in our domestic pipeline. This means that it's a revolution because you can have gas to power, you can have gas to industry, and overall it will create all the economic opportunities that this country will require for development and for growth. And we are very proud that this project, President's signature project, will be delivered. The target of this project is the domestic market. It has potential to be extended across the Sahara into other regions.
Right.
But more than this, we are doing other things. We are doing the Nigeria Trans-Morocco pipeline. This will also key into this initiative so that we can deliver the enormous gas resources available in our country into the global market. And not just EU, where we're going to supply gas to the whole market, and it's a perfect opportunity for our country.
In political season, enemies of progress attack new infrastructure. What is being done about it? The Anambra-born contractor proves local content can compete globally. Sir, what would you say to Nigerians concerned about saboteurs? How strong are your pipelines against potential sabotage?
The pipeline is designed to make it difficult to actually sabotage the pipeline itself when it's finished. The true situation is that we, first of all, we not only weld these pipelines, we bury them, and they are 2.4, 2.5 meters deep. That makes it difficult. But besides that, we put signs to tell everybody that this is a gas pipeline. Gas pipeline is dangerous. Even sabotaging it is dangerous for the person, dangerous for the community, dangerous for everybody. It's not oil pipeline. So sabotage is something that nobody should think of. But besides that, we have, together with this pipeline, we build what we call fiber optic system. The fiber optic cable that we lay with this, we can use it, and we use it for threat detection, for sabotage detection, and for general telecommunications.
Along the new 614-kilometer gas pipeline, there are 22 block valve stations and 4 terminal gas stations being built concurrently in Ajeokuta, Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano to calibrate gas pressure, remove fluids, and conduct gas to local off-taking power stations and agricultural, manufacturing, and petrochemical industries. 3 new pre-planned independent power generation stations for Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano along the pipeline corridor, with a total generation capacity of 3,600 megawatts, are presently concluding the design phase. The economically transformative AKK pipeline is just the latest in President Muhammadu Buhari's determined push to frontline gas as an economic game-changer. The federal government has, over the past 5 years, dualized the Escravos to Lagos pipeline system, ELPS, doubling gas transmission capacity from east to west from 1.1 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day to 2.2 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day, while also completing the $700 million and 127-kilometer OB3 gas pipeline from Obiafu in Rivers State to Oben in Edo State by December 2022, which will feed the AKK pipeline with over 2 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day, eventually up to Europe. In all, President Muhammadu Buhari is completing the full east-west-north gas transmission system to industrialize the entire country as Nigeria further exports gas to global markets. President Muhammadu Buhari is not only focused on new gas transmission capacity, but also new gas production capacity. With the new $12 billion expansion of NLNG with Train 7, adding a third of the nation's present total generating capacity. In Abuja, the Honorable Minister tells us of new momentum behind investment in the sector.
We are also expecting additional investments now. With the PIA, we are expecting that there is a lot more interest in the investment sector. And also, I mean, to also say that the Russia-Ukraine problem has also introduced a new dimension. Sure. Now, everybody seems to have realized that there is still a future for oil and gas. Absolutely. Now. And there is also a need for an alternative to supplies from Russia. So there is some appetite now, a new appetite that I see. Exactly, a new momentum for investment in Nigeria. So we see that a lot is going to happen in the sector in the coming months.
Moving on to gas, we know that you have kind of been the face in recent times of this pivot from oil to gas in terms of exploiting gas resources in the country for Nigerian economic expansion. Can you just give us a sense of what informs President Muhammadu Buhari's determination to invest billions of dollars in gas projects, from the AKK pipeline to the NLNG Train 7 to ELPS and OB3 and so many others?
President Muhammadu Buhari will tell you from his time as Minister of Petroleum, he will always tell you that they had always known that Nigeria was more of a gas territory with some oil in it. And that is true. We have a lot more gas than we have oil. Unfortunately, we have really harnessed our gas resources. And for us, we now realize that gas actually has the easiest linkage with the economy and has also the capacity, a better capacity to create more jobs. For example, I'll give you examples. You bring gas in. Everything in this room has to do with gas. Even your camera, all the plastics, all the synthetics you can find is from petrochemicals. Petrochemicals from gas. Now you have agriculture. Agriculture, you want to feed your population. Fertilizer, the only input in the production of fertilizer is gas. Gas, fertilizer. You want to now expand into the pharmaceutical industry. Gas, methanol, produce a lot of chemicals that's useful in the chemical industry and the pharmaceutical industry. And you can imagine, if you have petrochemical industries, you have fertilizer plants. The other day, just a few days ago, we commissioned the Dangote fertilizer plant. And if you ask him, he will tell you that all his production is being booked years ahead. So the market is still very much there, has a big appetite for this. So you can imagine if you have 10 of those plants in Nigeria, across Nigeria, you can imagine the amount of jobs you will create and the amount of value you will create. You have not talked about petrochemicals. You can imagine if you have 10 petrochemical plants. And you have not talked about the tertiary investments, because the petrochemicals are a feedstock for also the plastic industry, for other industries as well. So if you now take from the petrochemical plants and you now create those other factories, you can only imagine
a long value chain.
A long value chain. You talk about fertilizer, you talk about urea. Once you produce the urea and ammonia, you now have you now bring some potassium, phosphate from Morocco, and you combine, you can produce NPK. And of course, that's another industry outside the urea plant. So there are so many things. In fact, if you really go into this gas sector properly, it will really lead to a major expansion of our economy. A lot of factories will spring up, because the petrochemicals will, of course, give rise to a lot of factories. The Fertilizer will boost your agricultural sector and also give rise to other factories. The methanol will also give rise to the chemical factories. And then, of course, the gas will also give you a lot of electricity. So President Buhari realized that this is the way to go. If you want to diversify your economy, this is the way to go. And that's why we are really focused on gas, and we declared this decade, the decade of gas.
Your Excellency, in terms of providing, and you referenced it earlier, we're obviously living in a very interesting geopolitical climate in which you have Western Europe now looking almost desperately for an alternative to Russian gas. And we know that part of the vision of the Nigerian gas industry for some years now, that is now finally being implemented by Mr. President, is to be that alternative. And with the West African gas pipeline and the potential it has to pass through Morocco into Western Europe, and then of course the Trans-Saharan pipeline through the Sahara up to Algeria to Western Europe, what is the status of progress on these critical pipelines in terms of positioning us for the future?
We're making good progress with the Nigeria-Morocco pipeline. We've almost gotten through with the feasibility studies. And I'm supposed to take something to FEC for approval. Mr. President has approved it, and it will be probably at FEC by next week. So we're making very steady progress on that. The President is very keen on that project, and the King of Morocco as well is quite keen on that project. So we're taking that project, as you just said, from the West African gas pipeline, which today ends in Ghana, and we are going to stretch it from Ghana through Senegal all the way to Morocco. Of course, the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline has also made a lot of progress. In fact, the AKK is part of the Trans-Saharan pipeline. Initially, in the initial plan, the Trans-Saharan pipeline was supposed to originate from Akwa Ibom. But now we've already taken the AKK all the way. We are taking all the way to Kano. So 614 kilometers already is being embarked on. So we can call it part of the Trans-Saharan pipeline. It's already being done. So we want to take the pipeline all the way to the end of Nigeria. So what that will do for us is to create a backbone for development. If you have a commodity, you need to sell that commodity. If there is gas in the Niger Delta, and there is market for this gas in the north, then we must move the gas from the Niger Delta to the market.
Powering textile industries, etc.
Exactly. So the whole idea is to take the gas and take it to the place where the market also exists, so that, of course, every part of Nigeria will enjoy the gas, and the people who produce it will also enjoy, because there is now market for their product. They can now produce more. And then from Kano, we are taking it again to another place that needs this product. We're taking all the way to Algeria, and of course connecting to the Algeria network that will take the gas all the way to Western Europe. So like you said, of course, Europe is quite hungry for our gas as an alternative, and we are hoping that we'll be able to take that position very quickly. I mean, we are having a lot more investment. Of course, the PIA is enabling a lot of investment in the gas production sector. But a lot of our gas initially had been stranded because of the lack of infrastructure. Yes, exactly. You have the gas, but the gas is stranded because you can't move it out. So with this infrastructure being built, it will be able to harness a lot of our gas and put in this infrastructure. So it will be a good time even for the Niger Delta, because we'll be able to take the gas from the Niger Delta to market. Gas that will otherwise have been trapped or stranded, as we call it.
With a portion of that, of course, coming back to the communities within the framework of the PIA.
Of course, definitely.
This takes me naturally to an issue of concern, of course, to the people of the Niger Delta, which is the issue of local content and indigenous, company engagement in the region. What is your assessment overall of the moves undertaken by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in terms of really prioritizing and empowering Nigerian companies to really kind of take up the mantle in terms of a partnership with the Nigerian oil and gas industry at large?
Yeah, in fact, we have really made a lot of progress, I must say. I mean, if we compare it to where we're coming from, we've made a lot of progress. At this moment, we've taken local content, local participation in the industry from 3% to over 30%. And our target is to take it to 70% within, in the next 3 to 4 years, 2027. So we're expecting to take local content to 70%. So the communities are now getting engaged in the productive activities. And now, in addition, the marginal field program. The marginal field program also is to create that opportunity for locals to be involved in the production as well. So some of these fields which have been abandoned or considered marginal by the big companies are now taken from them and given to local people who can produce. And of course, that has become very successful. And of course, the Buhari administration has also giving out a lot of this marginal fields.
Your Excellency, I think one of the most underreported aspects of President Muhammadu Buhari's intervention as it relates to local content is the development and establishment of these Nigerian oil and gas parks, the no-gap scheme. Oh, yeah. The idea that we can maximize the impact of large-scale projects in the region on small MSMEs in the region who can benefit directly. Yeah. Can you just give some insight into how that works?
Yeah, we have, that is an initiative of the NCDMB. I can assure you that we've already completed some of the first phase of this program, and by last quarter this year, the first 2 will be commissioned. And what the no-gaps parks are doing is to have parks where you can produce some of the basic components of the oil industry. A situation where we are importing every nut and bolt is not sustainable. So we are already discussing with original equipment manufacturers who will come and partner with Nigerians and in those parks and produce within Nigeria for the industry. So this is actually going to be like an incubation center. And we're quite hopeful that over the years we'll be able to be a big player in this sector of the service sector. If you go to countries like Norway, the service sector is competing favorably with the production sector.
Incredible.
In fact, sometimes the service sector earns more money for the country than the production sector.
Your Excellency, that really reminds of the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari signed into effect the Presidential Executive Order 11 on public infrastructural maintenance, particularly around government buildings and other public assets. I had a recent conversation with His Excellency Babatunde Fashola, and he was saying that it's not just about having a culture of maintenance, it's about building an economy around maintenance. And you're speaking to that in the oil and gas sector, that our people can actually maintain our assets.
Because there's a whole economy around maintenance. But unfortunately, we've really overlooked that. Maintenance should be a culture, but being a culture, it also becomes an economy. And that's really what was lacking and we're trying to introduce. So if you have this kind of parks producing this equipment for the industry, it will become easier for us to maintain facilities. Some of the accidents that we have in the industry will also not happen because a lot of those accidents are due to lack of maintenance. And of course, if you want to maintain a facility and you are waiting for the maintenance crew to come from Europe, and maybe at a time when you have a pandemic, then you have a problem. Absolutely. Because there's a lockdown in Europe, the maintenance crew cannot come. And of course, the problem is worsening. So you have a situation now where you have the people who can maintain these facilities within the country. So at least your maintenance program can move hitch-free. And of course, that will be exactly. So that is going to create a lot of opportunities also, because in the industry, maintenance work is also a lot of job. I mean, it creates a lot of opportunity, creates a lot of value. So that is going to create another economy, and also we'll be happy to have it as a culture also in Nigeria, so that we can maintain. Because a lot of our facilities that are deteriorating are not because they are not they are too old. Most of the time is because of the lack of maintenance. So we are beginning to now introduce this maintenance culture. And with this executive order, I believe that that will soon become part of the culture.
Share your thoughts and constructive comments with us on the Eagle Eye Facebook and Instagram page. Next week on the program, we head to the nation's southwest to undertake an incisive assessment of President Muhammadu Buhari's latest investments in port and logistics infrastructure. You do not want to miss our exclusive brief with latest details. As always, I have enjoyed this time with you, and I thank you for your viewership. I look forward to your company as I host you once again next week at this same time on this network. Until next time, may God Almighty go with you, and as eagles, may we all soar and lift our nation high as we do.